Long before Hollywood learned to police itself, the film industry operated without a safety net. Studios churned out one production after another, answering to nobody and constrained by nothing. Married men were seduced by women on screen, and those women walked away without a hint of guilt. Criminals shot their way to fortune. Every conceivable social boundary got shattered, and the people doing the shattering never paid a price. Religious organizations howled in outrage. Government officials demanded action. Yet ordinary moviegoers packed theaters specifically to witness what had everyone so worked up. During that charged, brief stretch from the late 1920s through 1934, directors and writers tested every limit they could find. Then the production code arrived and killed the party. What follows are 15 daring pre-code pictures that defied censorship, shocked polite society, and burned themselves into cinema history so deeply that no one has forgotten them since. Queen Christina, 1933. Greta Garbo takes the role of Christina, Sweden's ruling monarch, a woman determined to live entirely on her own terms regardless of what her crown, her era, or her gender demands of her. She passes as a man, moves through her kingdom with unguarded freedom, and while traveling incognito, pursues a deeply felt romance with a Spanish diplomat portrayed by John Gilbert. Garbo brings such fierce concentration to every moment that censors found the whole picture unsettling from start to finish. The real threat of Queen Christina, though, was not in any single moment but in its overall outlook. Christina chooses herself over her throne without a second thought, and the film treats this decision as completely reasonable. Conservative voices and church groups reacted with alarm to the cross-dressing scenes, and to a sequence early in the film showing open tenderness between Christina and another woman. Regional distributors pushed for cuts. MGM made quiet adjustments in select territories while leaving the bulk of the film untouched, trusting that Garbo's name alone would carry it through the controversy. That trust was well placed. The film became a major success and elevated Garbo to a position of near untouchable prestige. Queen Christina stands as enduring evidence that a performer granted genuine creative latitude can communicate things on film that no regulatory body can fully erase. 3 on a Honeymoon. Actually, the film worth discussing here is Merrily We Go to Hell, 1932. Sylvia Sidney plays Joan Prentice, a woman of comfortable means who gives her heart to Jerry, a journalist with charm to spare and no ability to hold himself together, played by Frederick March. Jerry drinks. Jerry strays. Jerry fails Joan in every practical sense imaginable. And yet Joan refuses to stop loving him. Director Dorothy Arzner made a bold choice with this material. She did not punish Joan for her loyalty. She did not turn Jerry into a simple monster the audience could safely hate. Instead, she placed 2 genuinely imperfect human beings inside a marriage full of real complications and let the camera watch honestly, with a candor about infidelity and addiction that Hollywood would not permit again for a generation. The Catholic Legion of Decency came after the film hard, particularly targeting the sequence where Joan herself puts forward the idea of an open arrangement between them. The notion that a woman could propose something like that and be portrayed with full dignity rather than as a cautionary figure was simply too much for the censors to absorb. Multiple states raised flags. Paramount found itself under sustained pressure to cut the picture down. Most of it survived intact. Arzner, working at a time when women directing Hollywood films was nearly unheard of, delivered something that felt genuinely alive and genuinely true. Jewel Robbery, 1932. William Powell plays a sophisticated European thief who enters a Viennese jewelry shop and leaves with considerably more than the merchandise. Kay Francis plays the wealthy, restless wife of a prosperous man, and the connection that sparks between her and the thief is so natural and so electric that viewers almost forget they are watching a heist comedy. Double meanings fill every exchange. The thief makes no pretense of remorse for his profession, and the film actively presents his way of life as elegant and appealing rather than morally bankrupt. A scene playing a marijuana episode entirely for laughs sent censors into immediate alarm. The warmth and clever energy of the central relationship kept audiences cheering for the criminal rather than the law, which was exactly the sort of upended moral logic that the approaching code was designed to prevent. The Legion of Decency objected to the film's casual treatment of crime, marital unfaithfulness, and substance use. Cuts were ordered in a number of cities. The film ran regardless, because Powell and Francis together could sell tickets no matter what the watchdog group said. Jewel robbery survives as one of the most polished and purely enjoyable artifacts of the pre-code years, a picture operating in a world where rules exist only to be elegantly ignored. Safe in Hell, 1931. Dorothy MacHale plays Gilda, a woman who kills the man responsible for destroying her life, accidentally, and then escapes to a remote island that carries no extradition agreement with anyone. She is stranded there almost entirely surrounded by men. Criminals, runaways, the otherwise forgotten. She waits for the man she loves to come back for her. He does not come back in time to matter. Director William Wellman gave this story no soft edges. There is no rescue. The men around Gilda are not improved by proximity to her. The same society that failed her at the beginning fails her again at the end. Censors took particular issue with references to Gilda's history involving prostitution, with the film's relaxed depiction of violence, and with what the Legion of Decency characterized as a complete absence of moral guidance. Certain cities refused to show it entirely. But the source of Safe in Hell's genuine power is identical to the source of the censors' discomfort. It looks squarely at the fate of women who fall outside the boundaries of social protection and refuses to offer false comfort. In 1931, doing that honestly required real nerve. The Story of Temple Drake, 1933. Miriam Hopkins plays Temple Drake, a well-bred Southern young woman whose single reckless choice drags her into a world of brutality and moral rot. The film draws from William Faulkner's incendiary novel Sanctuary and matches its source in unflinching directness. It presents respectability as theater, depicts the institutions built to protect ordinary people as riddled with corruption, and makes clear that innocence provides no reliable shield against harm. The Catholic Legion of Decency declared it unfit for any audience. Religious organizations ran boycott campaigns across multiple cities. Paramount pulled the picture from certain markets and made substantial edits for others. What the censors grasped, and what alarmed them most, was that the film was not trading in darkness for cheap shock value. It was using darkness to build a case. The case was that the veneer of civilized society masks a deep dishonesty, and that the people most vulnerable to that dishonesty are often the very ones the system claims to protect. An argument made with that level of craft and seriousness was more threatening than any explicit image. Film historians have since pointed to the story of Temple Drake as one of the central reasons the production code ultimately received the firm enforcement it had previously lacked. Red-Headed Woman, 1932. Jean Harlow plays Lil Andrews, a secretary who looks at the life she has been given, decides it is not enough, and sets about acquiring something better. She targets her wealthy married employer, dismantles his marriage, and ascends the social hierarchy through sheer persistence and nerve. And the film presents this entire campaign as comic entertainment rather than moral tragedy. Harlow's performance gives Lil an irresistible brazenness, a quality of delighted self-awareness so infectious that audiences found themselves laughing alongside her even as church groups demanded the whole thing be suppressed. The screenplay is built from lines carrying two meanings at once, and Harlow delivered every one with an expression that dared anyone to prove which meaning she intended. The Catholic Legion of Decency led organized opposition. MGM faced pressure from religious bodies in state after state. Specific scenes were trimmed for certain regional releases, but the film's core proposition, that a woman can outmaneuver the men who design the rules, came through every version completely intact. Red-Headed Woman drew enormous audiences and made Harlow a genuine star. It holds its place today as one of the clearest windows into pre-code Hollywood's willingness to honor exactly the kind of woman that respectable society preferred to pretend did not exist. Female, 1933. Ruth Chatterton plays Allison Drake, who runs a thriving automobile manufacturing company and governs her personal life with the same decisive authority she exercises in the executive suite. She identifies men she finds attractive, pursues them, and when her interest fades she moves on, explaining herself to no one and seeking approval from no quarter. The controversy around female did not come from explicit content. Came from normalization. The film presented a woman holding complete authority over both her career and her desires, not as a warning or a fantasy, but as an unremarkable fact of contemporary life. Leaders of religious organizations argued the film posed a threat to the established order of things. Cultural critics called it a wishful delusion. Censors in a handful of cities required small alterations. Audiences turned up in enthusiastic numbers. Female has become a touchstone for scholars examining gender and power in the history of American film, but its most striking quality on a modern viewing is its casualness. Allison Drake is not constructed as a symbol or a polemic. She is simply a person living her life as she chooses. The mere fact that this required courage from the filmmakers in 1933 tells you precisely what the production code was ultimately built to defend. Babyface, 1933. Barbara Stanwyck plays Lily Powers, a woman shaped by hardship who has arrived at one clear understanding of the world.